looking at our 2024-2025 board goals. So thank you for participating in that. And we are going to move right into, let's see. I mean, it's clicking on, yep. Yes, so we are going to move right into presentations and welcome. I'll just turn it over to Mr. Alexis then.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Case. So we have the meeting all called to order, and we are just going to invite our auditors forward. We have Mr. Mooney and Mr. Coe from Nisavacia, and they'll present the audit. I believe they left books with the entire audit for the board member.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. So if you, in the books, I put the AMR right in the spot that I'm going to talk about in the B1 and the B2. So you just open up to where that AMR is. So first you have two books, the ACFR, which is your financial statements, and the AMR, which is your annual management report. So I'm going to talk about the ACFR first. So the B1 is your balance sheet. So it's just going to go over your assets and your liabilities. Yes.
For those of us who pulled it out, what
It is page
27.
27. Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
My bad.
So balance sheet and your income statement. So I'm going to talk about, your fund balances. So fund balance went up $111,000 this year from June 30th of 23 to June 30th of 24. That does not include $118,000, which is your last June state aid payment that you're not allowed to book until July. That's because a number of years ago, the state decided that they didn't want to pay your last June statement to you, and they took it off their balance sheet, so you couldn't have it on your balance sheet if they didn't have it on theirs, so we're not allowed to book that until July. So that's a month behind. But anyway, so your fund balance is made up of $6.262 million. Capital reserve is $3 million. That's up about $48,000. Maintenance was consistent at $961,000. Emergency reserves is consistent at $250,000. Your excess surplus was $330,000. Now that is funds that were unused this year that we're going to use to balance your budget in 2025. Now, this is a common budgeting practice that we see, and it's used to make sure that the levy remains constant and also that you're using the unspent funds from this year to offset the levy in future years. We also had some, your unemployment was almost unchanged at $238,000. Encumbrances went down a little to $313,000, and then your subsequent years expenditures was $336,000, which was last year's $330,000. So it rolled a little bit. And then your unassigned ended the year at $797,000. Now your unassigned is a function of your total expenditures. It's 2% of your total expenditures plus or minus a couple of adjustments that we're allowed to take. Now that 2% is the maximum the state will allow you to have, and you have that set aside there, so you're as healthy as the state will allow you to be. John and I were talking on the car ride over here about how our best districts often keep increasing and using that 2% levy cap for your future budgets. And we wanted to applaud you on your efforts with that and making sure that you're staying up with the cost, because we run into a lot of districts this year that weren't able to maintain that, and now they're upset about their 25-26 budget. They're looking at that and like, oh shoot, we've lagged behind and now we can't catch back up. So good job on that. Just wanted to make that note to you guys. All right, so your capital reserve and your maintenance reserve, it was pretty consistent from the year. You started off at $3 million and you ended at $3,036,000. Now that $3 million was at June 30th, 2024. I just want to mention that your 2024-25 budget, you withdrew $1 million from that. And then you also had some ROD grant projects for your Fund 30, which was another $930,000. So really, as of now, your balance is about $1.1 million in capital reserve. That's not to say that you're going to use all those funds. There might be some left over that can go back to capital reserve, and then it would have to also go back to capital reserve. And then your maintenance reserve, you budgeted $100,000 of that to be used in your 24-25 budget as well. Special revenue fund, you used $355,000 of federal grants, and state grants was $64,000. And your debt service fund, the district had $3.7 million of outstanding bonds as of 6/30/2024. The final maturity on the 2014 bonds occurred, I believe, in August of 24. So now that one was paid off with a final payment of $184,000. Just to note, in those books, there are historical information about your B1, so you can see the fund balances going back 10 years. That's on your J3, and then on your B2, your income statement, you can see that going back 10 years on your J4. That's well in the back of the book. But if you wanted to ever compare your income statements for the past 10 years, you can do that on the J3, balance sheet J3, income statement J4. There's also some other useful information back in the J's, with your debt percentage of 6.44%. That's on your J13. The total number of employees for the past 10 years is on the J16, and your operating statistics is on your J17. So there's a couple of schedules back there that you might find useful in comparing now to the past 10 years. I'd like to cover recommendations, which would be in your small book. You don't need to open it up. We're okay. I want to thank Robin for her hard work and her team too. This is the third year that we have no formal recommendations. Thank you for putting up with us. I know that the auditors are everybody's favorite people, especially when we come out and bug you, but we really appreciate you prioritizing us and getting us in and out so we can get our audit done. Thank you.
We actually do like you, Brian.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We did have two suggestions. These suggestions we gave to all of our districts this year. One of them is about making sure we do our reimbursement requests consistently. That was something that has come up in other districts' desk reviews. The state wants us to do monthly or quarterly reimbursement requests, which isn't always feasible, especially when you put amendments in to those grants on eWig. They block you from making changes for 3 or 4 months, but that's something that they're putting in everybody's audit, so we wanted to make you aware of it. And then also to mention that the COVID-19 grants, just because we didn't have to do a federal single audit on them, doesn't mean that the state won't come in at a later point in time. So you need to maintain those documentations and backup for quite some time, because they're usually a number of years behind.
Is there like a 7-year on that, or is it?
So, yes, there is a 7-year on that. I'm sure that they'll catch up within the next 7 years, but I'll be back between now and then, and I'll let you know to make sure that, you can get rid of those documents at that time.
Okay.
Any questions? Comments?
We
All
were
right,
very
well-
fortunate, the finance committee, to have a meeting, and I guess, it was just really good to hear about, no recommendations. It was just really, really good.
Yes, we have a very good team, and we appreciate that.
Nobody else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another coffee table.
Okay, we're gonna move to communications. I do not have any. Mr. Alexis, do you have any?
Nothing to report.
Okay, board committee and liaison reports. Start with Karen.
Okay, well, the finance committee met this past Wednesday, and, note is, that we're coming up to the 2024 health and safety evaluation of the school buildings. It'll be done by the health office out of Bernardsville, and that's coming up. We had, and as I mentioned in our goal review, there's updates to, operating procedures control manual and a purchasing manual that are being done in line with CUSAC, okay? School lunch program, we passed the major review by the Department of Agriculture, and if I'm not mistaken, Robin, there's going to be, there's like the observations, the announced and the unannounced, and we're gonna get an unannounced. What's interesting is when they do the review, they look at every single thing. the portions that the students are getting, making sure there's enough carbohydrates and, sugars, how they're serving, are they serving it, how hot is it when they're getting served, checking the equipment, checking the sink where things are rinsed. I mean, they went through everything and they visited every school. So we passed very, very nicely. So to Robin and Dom, that was great. The menu continues to be reviewed. And as I mentioned, we've gotten to the point where next year we'll be serving breakfasts. So that's something we have to work towards and move towards. The extended school year program that we had with Watchung came to an end. It was very successful in a lot of ways, not only monetarily, but the mixture of the students and the new teachers, because we shared teachers and the classes were mixed from the students, so that was also a very beneficial situation. In terms of looking at the cost per student, it came out to be about $1,926. There's going to be some look at to see what the cost per student in past years was. Like I said, not all the benefits we could say are monetary at all, but there was a lot of other benefits associated with it. And what we're looking to, or came up for next year, is possibly Greenbrook joining and extending it out to Warren to just see how it goes. But there's a lot of logistics and so many children in the classes, whether we have to add teachers, et cetera. But that's for next summer. Grants we talked about before. The newest grant was one associated with getting food serving equipment for the breakfast program. We heard from the audit review how well we did. One thing that he didn't, I was hoping to mention, and I guess that over the years they've been with us, in the past 5 years, they've said we have grown to what he would call, that he put in quotes, like very strong financial position. And obviously the benefits are, if we ever have to go out to market, in terms of interest rates and our ability to handle emergencies, he said we've just balanced ourselves enough that he thinks that we can handle. He just says we're in a strong financial position, which is very encouraging. Transportation, it appears now that, I guess 99.9% of the time, all students are delivered safely by 4:15. A lot of good reviews in terms of bus drivers and the service. There was a concern or two about, and they came out in notes that George has pointed out in terms of bus stops, but basically a 10,000% difference in terms of the beginning of this year versus last year. Okay. The student services, I think we mentioned that they couldn't find part-time positions for paraprofessionals, and they had to go outside services. So they put out ads, no response. So instead what had happened was an RFP went out, and with the responses that came in from Uncommon Thread and Stepping Stone, and we enlisted they're more expensive than it would have been if we hired directly, but nobody came in, so we couldn't find them. And very, very strong response on the part of Jerry with the caliber of the people that we've got. I guess, Katie, you can talk about the ROD grant. Okay, for the Central School Library renovation, Robin, Mark 2.0, Mr. V and Ms. Amet went to Watchung Hills Regional High School to actually look at what they had done in their referendum that revisited their media library area to get ideas for planning for the Central School. Let's see. Now, there was a session provided in one of the professional development groups for workmen's compensation, and it proved to be very, very beneficial for the nursing and for the employees to know about the requirements, things that were explained, time limits. There's just a whole lot of things associated with intervals and requirements, and everybody felt it was very, very beneficial. With respect to force, you're going to see this on the agenda now, that their individual activities are listed This is purely for insurance purposes, so it identifies them as being responsible versus us being responsible. And also, I guess there was a discussion with Katie about having a nurse available, their own nurse available for handling emergencies. Robin will, I guess, give a brief review of the budget calendar when we get there. There are some standard resolutions on the agenda associated with application for school state aid, district report for transported students, debt service data, etc. We all know that Adele submitted her resignation, looking for getting replacement. All the bills were reviewed, we're in good stead, and our next meeting is December 4th. In terms of governance, we talked about the board retreat. We just had our mid-goal review. We're gonna have another one in April. I think everybody had a positive view about how it went. And, okay, we started our strategic planning for our strategic planning sessions, which are set for February 19th, March 6th, and March 18th. A lot of planning will go into that in terms of in-person, virtual, et cetera, getting out invites. Save the date request has already gone out by George to the parents, so we're gonna move ahead on that. We had a brief look at the committee responsibilities. Like I said, governance has looked at theirs. We made some changes. There were things that we weren't doing, and really should go over to policy. So we're sending them over to policy, and they're actually already covered. And we'll send out a sample of how we did it, because each committee should be looking at your responsibilities as per on the website, just so we clean them up and we make sure that we have ourselves aligned with what we're really doing. And we got the audit. What the governance committee is going to do is something that one of the two of the chairs mentioned that they had already done, is go back and look over at the minutes of the committees and just see what's going on, and see the timings and attendance, et cetera, and just see how we're going on in general. And the ongoing discussion we have is our role with the committees and with the board. And our next planned meeting is November 19th. And that's it. And there was a meeting of the Morris County Ed Services Commission, but I was not able to attend. I did get the update, and at this stage, the only thing is they had their own audit and they had no recommendations. And there's nothing else from them I could report at this time. That's it.
Any questions for Karen? Okay, thank you. Danielle?
Okay, the Community Relations Committee had a meeting on November 1st through Zoom. In attendance was myself, George, Kim, and Tom. We spoke about several things. We spoke about the strategic planning process that's coming up in February and March, different ways to reach out to different groups and organizations throughout the community, coming up with a list and making sure that they're going to get their own special invites. Talked about district climate survey, putting something out. I guess we've decided, or the district's deciding to go with the Rutgers template. And it would be going out to like teachers, parents, children with the parents' permission. We got some updates on the social media approach and the capabilities. It looks like Millington and Gillette just got clearance, so we have multiple handlebars for our the 3 different schools and the district. We also talked about just different ways to gain communications through outreach through the community. And we're just trying to foster the idea of community and having a level of comfortability with the different stakeholders, that they can come to the district with any requests, any donations, any questions, concerns, suggestions, and just kind of pivoting on being able to collaborate with these individuals instead of doing anything anonymous or anything like this. We spoke about parent-teacher conferences for grades 5 through 8, just looking at the attendance for this coming week with the new change with Central Middle School. Also looking, highlighting the fact that, even though middle school parents, there's not an identified, date and time really, but parents can always reach out to the teachers and ask for a conference if they'd like at any point during the year. We had continued discussions on the Sterling Street Fair, showcasing different students' projects or the robotics team, and possibly even the chorus or the band coming to the event as this next year at the street fair. And we talked about more giveaways. And then, ongoing discussions with how to support the PTO and possibly, having them come to one of our board meetings and presenting. And same thing with the LHEF. And then as for the PTO, I just want to remind everybody that there's multiple fundraising going on with them. They have the holiday movie event coming out on December 8th, and that's going to be at the Bernardsville Cinema. They're still doing the Fun Pasta fundraising, and that ordering is going to be closing on November 30th. And they're also doing something really cool with the upcoming holidays that you can order for people that do holiday cards and stuff. You can go to minted.com, and they've had their own promotional code that you can use called Fundraise Longhill. And so you as the user can get 20% off, but you give back 15% to the PTO. So that's something that's really cool and different this year. And that's it. Our next community relations committee meeting will be on December 10th. And that's it.
Okay. Any questions for Danielle? Okay, Crystal?
Sure. As many of you may know, we are going through CUSAC this year. The CUSAC committee met on October 9th at 8:15. In attendance were Mr. Alexis, Robin Bomer, Lauren Franklin, Lori Jones, myself, Elizabeth Mickles, and Danielle Minerva. CUSAC is an acronym for the Quality Single Accountability Continuum, which is New Jersey's evaluation system for school districts. And during the meeting, we discussed the upcoming district's performance review. It involved assessing the district's overall performance against the state benchmarks. It helps to identify our strengths and our struggles, guiding improvements as well as resource allocation. Mr. Alexis reviewed the areas that will be reviewed in the process, and they include instruction and programming, which focuses on the quality of instruction and educational programs. It emphasizes the need for effective curricula, instructional strategies, and student support services. It has a fiscal component that evaluates the financial management, including budgeting, funding sources, and expenditures. Governance assesses the district's leadership and decision-making processes, including the role of the Board of Education, the alignment of governance practices with state policies, and it requires that our governance structures promote things like accountability, transparency, and community engagement, making sure that our decisions reflect the needs of all of our stakeholders. The operations section reviews the day-to-day functioning of the district, including facilities management, transportation, and safety protocols. It evaluates whether our operational practices meet state standards and support the educational environment. And then it also has a personnel component, which examines our human resources practices, including staffing levels, professional development, and employee evaluations, and looks at the importance of making sure that our personnel are highly qualified and ensuring that we have the best people in place for our kids and supporting student achievement. So basically, it was an overview of what the process is going to look like and what we can expect moving forward as a team. And our next meeting will be held on November 13th at 8:15.
AM?
a.m.
Okay.
Not p.m. Thank you. a.m.
Any questions for Crystal? Okay, thank you. Anne?
Student achievement will be meeting next week. We have to just consult with the committee and get a day and time that aligns from us. We had to reschedule from last week.
Okay. I don't think you have questions. Tom?
Nothing to report this month.
Okay. Justin?
Nothing to report.
Okie dokie. Katie?
Hi, the the Buildings and Ground Committee met on October 29th at 2 p.m. Myself, Mr. Alexis, Tom Groskoff, Robin Bomer, Adele Valentine, and Mark Mandersky were in attendance. So we went over the library renovation, and we discussed the visits to the other school. It's very early days, but we're hoping to get some inspiration and plan ahead while we're going through the budgetary process. So very early days there, but it's an exciting project that we hope will be able to come to fruition over the summer. The mini grant application from the School Superintendent's Association and Sourcewell Helping Kids. These are different grants that are to improve school infrastructure, to improve learning, and they're trying to get flexible seating for the Gillette School, but that is kind of a process that's going on. Right now there's projects all over the district to replace screens and clean windows and painting using Pritchard. Let's see, the updates are CUSAC, the health and safety reports have gone through. There. The ongoing plumbing and sewer issues at the middle school and Millington are hopefully going to be resolved. They've replaced the flushing thing that was causing some of the issues, and hopefully that will go through. I said this in our last, in our meeting, that School Dude implementation has gone very well, and we are, I think at the beginning of the school year, there were about 150 cases. Right now they're in the 20s. So it's really going smoothly. It's been adopted really well by the staff, and it's being maintained, and it's going well. So that's going well. All of our capital improvement projects from the summer, the steam room has been signed off on, the stage curtains, the stage lighting, the door replacement at Millington, the fire panel punch list at Gillette, and the stage curtains at Gillette have all been completed, which is really good news. Sometimes that takes a lot longer. It's really nice that we've wrapped it up, and it was only October, so that was good news. The food service update, I think you've kind of handled that, so I'll pass that out. The ROD grants go out to bid on November 15th, and they close on December 17th. And they will be awarded hopefully during our January reorganization. I'll let Robin go into more detail, as obviously. And that is it. Our next meeting is November 26th, and it'll be via Google Meet. The Long Hill Education Foundation, we had our big gala. It's called Mask and Brilliance. It was on Friday night. We raised $4,000, and as you all know, the Long Hill Education Foundation has two parts. We have our after-school program called Force, but we also raise money for back to school, to give back to the schools. Last year, we donated approximately $25,000 worth of grants to the district. So this $4,000, while it's not a huge amount, it gets us well on our way to where we want to be for our donations for this current school year. I have to acknowledge Michael Lacosta and Yasmin Di Giovanni, are co-chairs of the event. And then Erin Givens, Kim Beckerman, and Mary Pepe, they worked tirelessly. It was an amazing event. Hopefully more people can come next year. It was a great time, lots of great prizes. Our grand prize winner is sitting right next to me.
My wife won it. I didn't win it.
His wife won it. I don't want to.
What did you win? What was it?
What'd she win?
A Porsche for the weekend, right? It was,
Nice.
very exciting.
That's why it's clearly I didn't win.
Yes. It was nothing questionable. It was very above board. Our mistress of ceremonies, Vicky Belkowicz, is like the grand master of tricky tray rules and regulations, and she made sure everything was above board. It was a really great night, and it was a good success. We currently have our Griggstown pie sale going on right now. Orders will be taken until November 7th. You can put the orders in on our website. Right now they're $22 for fruit pies, $25 for chicken and turkey pot pies. If you don't want to order them for yourself, you can order them and make donations to the 12 Baskets food pantry, and they can get donated to people in our community. If you put the order in, pickup is on November 23rd at Central School from 10 to 12. We have our upcoming family movie night at Central Middle School at 7 p.m. on November 16th, It's $5 to get in, and our concessions are all $2. The movie is Trolls Band Together. It's a great event. The kids can sit on the floor. The parents sit in the bleachers. It's really just super kid friendly. It's a nice night. We do these twice a year. It's a good event. And then finally, our winter session for Force is being organized, and there should be more information out in December. And our next meeting is Monday, November 18th at 8 p.m., and it's on Google Meet. And regarding the nursing, in the past, we handled having any emergencies being handled through the first aid squad, but we had an event happen during one of our after-school activities, and we decided that it made more sense to go with having a nurse available to the district. So we are in the process of finding a nurse for this. It's an ongoing process, and we should have it up and ready for our next session. So it's a slow and steady progress, and that is all.
Okay. Any questions for Katie? Congrats to you guys at the Ed Foundation. It was a very nice event, and I've been to a couple of them, and never seen so many good prizes. It was hard to pick
That
where you wanted to
committee
invest your tickets.
Was unbelievable.
It was really good.
Kim Beckerman and Mary Pepe were like superstars. I mean, every single one of them. They all did so much work. It was really impressive. And I just got to go. It was lovely.
Okay, let's move to superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Let me begin with our presentation at the NJSBA conference 2 weeks ago. It went exceptionally well. We were very fortunate to have a large group of engaged participants, and our team of Kim, Karen, and Charlene Peterson from NJSBA represented all of you with skill and professionalism. It was a great day for the Long Hill Board. Just to add to Danielle's report, we've discussed the potential use of the New Jersey School Climate Improvement Survey, and you'll see the initials NJSCI. That is the official acronym of the survey tool. It's a joint effort between the NJDOE and Rutgers University. Watchung Hills has been using this survey for several years, and Warren and Watchung are using it this year. We're also planning to use it later this year and see it as a way to help with strategic planning and to assist with the regionalization study committee's efforts. We anticipate placing a resolution on the agenda for the December meeting so the board can approve the use of the survey before we administer it. And as Danielle said, this will be a voluntary survey. We're very pleased with the auditor's report of no recommendations for the third consecutive year. The business office, Robin, Adele, Dom, and Natalia certainly take the lead in this effort and deserve the lion's share of the credit, but it takes a team effort, and I want to thank the entire faculty and staff and the administrative leadership team for their efforts in following protocols and managing the school-based budgets. Our elementary parent-teacher conferences are taking place this week, as you all know. At Central, though, we have full days of school to create more instructional time this year. The district calendar is on the agenda because we revised it slightly to clarify and memorialize that the middle school has full days of instruction this week. We've updated our attendance webpage with the October attendance data. We've lost a little ground on our pursuit of the district goal and want to reinforce the importance for our community of having our students in school and engaged in learning on a daily basis. We're communicating more actively with families as a way to underscore this importance of attendance, and families will be receiving standard notification letters about the number of absences incurred when the numbers reach the policy-based thresholds. We also are working on an iReady resource webpage, which should be ready this week. It's designed to provide relevant resources for families. And on that topic, our next family engagement webinar is tentatively scheduled for November 21st. The topic will be the standards-based report card and the transitions between grades 1 and 2 and 5 and 6. Look for a message from Dr. Jones soon. And as Crystal outlined very thoroughly, we had the CUSAC meeting. We've also worked hard on the CUSAC self-evaluation, and you'll see that at the end of the board agenda. We took the process very seriously and answered each question, each section, as accurately as possible. You'll note a couple of things. One, that the IMP section, the instruction and program section, has a score of 40, and that is because the state is supposed to provide us with data for the first 60 points. But there's been a delay at the state level, and the county office told us to leave those indicators blank. After the board approves the self-evaluation, each member of the committee will sign the declaration page and will submit the self-evaluation before November 15th. We have the upcoming meeting, as Crystal mentioned, on November 13th. And our students' artwork is currently on display at the Long Hill Township Library. Big thank you to Albie and her staff for making room for us. Thank you also to our art teachers, Wendy Cohen and Teresa Dunn, for coordinating this effort. Last, there are 2 collection efforts being undertaken by our school community, which is great to see. Both are on the agenda this evening. And that's it for me. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, any questions? Okay, business administrators report.
Hi, thank you very much. I wanted to let you know that in September, the school lunch program served 5,473 meals.
I thought you were going to say nuggets.
That's probably 10,000 nuggets. And in October, we served 5,479 meals. That's a huge increase over last year. That for our ESY program that we were able to reconcile, we did that with Watchung. I want to let you know that Jerry Colon has let me know that if we did not share with Watchung, we probably would have had to spend an additional $13,180 to run that program.
Nice.
For that. You have the budget calendar on the agenda. And the one thing I want to point out on the budget calendar is that we have the one meeting in March on the 17th to present the budget and the adoption. What we did this year is we went through and we will have meetings prior to that, and we'll release the video for the board with the presentation for you to see. That way we can talk about any questions, answer any questions, and we will able to have that meeting. So if you take a look at that calendar for the budget, that should be good. I also want to say that everybody knows that Adele is leaving. I just want to say that we're really thankful for Adele's dedication and hard work in the business office, and her commitment to detail and efficiency has made a really meaningful impact on our daily operations. She's going to be greatly missed, and I congratulate her for moving to the next position, and for Long Hill for supporting her this way, because she learned a lot with us, which is wonderful. We do have somebody on the agenda. Amber Jimenez will be coming in to fill Adele's position, and so we welcome Amber, and hopefully we can mentor her to become as up-to-date and efficient and quality-minded as Adele is. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Any questions for Robin? No? Okay. Any comments from the public on agenda items? Okay. We're going to move to resolutions. Karen, will you move in the minutes item number 1?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
What number is this going up to?
Just one,
One
Katie.
minute.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruvalo? And I'm sorry, Mrs. Case?
Yes, thank you. Danielle, will you move in financials numbers 2 through 20?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
I'm sorry, who just said second?
Me.
Oh, okay.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes, but I'm abstaining from 17.
Okay. Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
And Mrs. Case?
Yes. Crystal, will you move in special services items? Oh, wait, I messed something up. Oh, sorry, 21 to 22.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Mrs. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. And will you move in personnel items number 23 to 34?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
I just want to wish Adele the best. She was incredible, and I'm happy for her to have found a new position, a more senior position elsewhere, but we will sorely miss her.
Agreed. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Tom, will you move in curriculum items number 35 to 37?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Justin, will you move in policy items number 38 to 39?
So moved.
Second.
You can. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Katie, will you move in other items number 40 through 43?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Any items for discussion, unfinished business?
Oh.
Oh, sorry, Karen.
No, it's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
We didn't have a resolution on the agenda to accept the audit. So I have a resolution to propose.
Okay.
Resolved that the Long Hill Township Board of Education accept the financial audit and findings expressed by the auditing firm of,
Ms. Vavacchia?
thank you, LP, as cited in their reports entitled Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, ACFR, for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024, and Auditor's Management Report on Administrative Findings, Financial Compliance, and Performance for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Any questions? Was this just a small oversight in the agenda?
Yes, and because they were only presenting it, we didn't put it on as acceptance until
Okay,
after, so we just did it after.
okay. Any other questions? Okay. So you motioned to put it on, you second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Yeah.
Any abstentions?
Troublemaker.
I said.
Okay, so it's now, did you put a number to it?
Actually, there is no number. No.
So,
So let's make it
A1 and done
44.
Put it under other.
Other.
Put it under other, 44.
Okay.
okay, so number 44, okay.
42.
So do you have to do the same thing? We have to make a motion to move?
Okay, should I say as read or?
Yeah.
Okay. I propose resolution number 44 as read.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Sorry, hold on one second. Okay, Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
And Mrs. Case?
Yes. Thank you. Any other unfinished business? Any new business? Okay, any comments from the public? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.